Okay, let's continue our discussion on rigid body kinematics in this video. In the last video, we started talking about Euler angles, and as you may recall, these angles are used to parameterize the orientation of the rigid body at any time t. So you imagine that you start with your body in some configuration, so it's oriented in some manner in space, and we attach a system of coordinates to the body, and the origin of this system and the system which is fixed in space coincide. Okay, so they are at the same place. And the question was, how do I parameterize the orientation of that body system which is rigidly fixed in the body, that system of coordinates, with respect to the system which is fixed in space. Okay, and that is what we were looking at last time, and we talked about Euler angles, and that's where we left, and let's continue from there. So the first thing we noticed, or we did, was I'm describing you again the procedure of all these Euler angles. So how do you arrive from one place to one configuration to another? So you start with your XYZ coordinates, and your body coordinates are sitting on the top of it. Then the first step was to make a rotation by amount phi about the z-axis. Okay, so let's remember what we did last time. So first rotation by phi about z-axis. Okay, and then what we did, and just to remind you, this phi rotation takes your x-axis to the line of node. Okay, that is the phi. Okay, that is what characterizes phi. That is what, how do you choose phi? You choose phi that much, which will take you to the line of node. Okay, once you are there, you do a rotation. Okay, and you take your z-axis and rotate by an angle theta about the line of node. Okay, so rotation by phi about z-axis, that one is good. So you have rotated your the rotation has happened in xy plane. Okay, then second is do a rotation by theta about the nodal line. Third, so at this stage what has happened is you have already brought your z-axis to its final destination, right? That has already happened. What has not happened is your x and y axis have not reached to their final destinations, but only one rotation will take you there. And you remember, you have to rotate by an angle psi about what axis? Can you recall that? Let's go here, let's see. Okay, that's what we are doing here. Z prime is the one which is the final destination. So you have already arrived at the final destination, and of course you don't want to disturb that axis by doing a rotation which will involve changing this one. So you are going to do a rotation about this z prime axis. Okay, the final destination about z prime axis. Okay, so these are only 3 steps involved in here, and now you would like to know how your matrix A looks like when it is parameterized in terms of phi, theta and psi, these Euler angles. So what I am looking for now is parameterization of transformation matrix A in using Euler angles. Using Euler angles. That's what I am going to do next. Okay. Well, it's fairly easy thing to do if I understand these 3 steps. So what I do is I start from my x, y and z. Maybe I should go to the next page. It will be better. Okay, let's go to the next page. So I start with my vector, which is, let me call it r. We were denoting by our bold r these components x, y and z. Okay. Now I want to arrive at my final destination, which is r prime. Okay, and I have to go through 3 sets of rotations, right? So I have to have 3 sets of rotations here. Okay, so what I do is I take my x, y and z or z, and what should I do? Let's go back. Rotate about phi about z axis. Okay, so the rotation is going to happen about the z axis, meaning after rotation my whatever I get, it should have the same z, same value of z. Okay, and here I should have z should not change, which means these entries have to be like this, because this one will ensure that your z is not changed. And then you have your matrix cos of phi, sine of phi, minus sine of phi and cos of phi. Okay, that's the matrix. So I'll call this matrix as matrix phi. Okay, that's the name of the matrix I give. And if I do so, my x and y values will get transformed to something else, and z will remain the same. And I want to call these as zeta, eta and xi. Okay, so the first thing, so let's say these are the components. It's called xi, eta and zeta. Okay, so clearly eta is same as z, that has not changed. Okay, so we have arrived here. So what has happened now is you are here. So this is your xi. Okay, that is where you're sitting now, and other things have changed accordingly. Now I should do a rotation on this entire thing, right? So now we are here. Now we have arrived here. So xi, eta and zeta. Okay, and remember your zeta is the z basically. This is the same as zeta because I've done a rotation about it. Now I should do a rotation by angle theta about the nodal line, meaning my xi should not change at all because the rotation is going to happen about it. Okay, so let's do this rotation, and I will call that rotation as the rotation matrix to be theta. Okay, so now from here I do the following. Now I take it and I take my xi, eta and zeta, rotation is about which axis? Let's go back. Xi. So just like what we did here, For xi not to change, I have to have these as these entries, right? Now you have to mix eta and zeta, and the angle is theta, so it has to be cos of theta, sine of theta, minus sine of theta, and cos of theta. And I will call this matrix as matrix theta. Okay, perfect. And then third rotation, and before that let me label these. Now after this, what has happened is my zeta has become z prime. So let me write z prime here. Okay, and let's call these intermediate values to be xi prime and eta prime. Okay, good. Now I should take my eta prime, xi prime, eta prime, and z prime, and do a rotation. I have not left much space here, which I should have done, but anyway. Now what's not going to change? The z prime is not going to change, so clearly here you have to have 0, 1 and 0, 0, 1. Okay, and what is the angle of rotation? Rotation angle is psi, so this rotation is going to happen here. And let me write down cos of psi, sine of psi, minus sine of psi, cos of psi, and I will call this matrix as matrix psi. Okay, and okay, because there is no space left on the left, that's nice. I will write it on the right hand side. So I wanted to have a flow like this, but it didn't work out. But anyway, it does not matter. So I get where x prime, y prime, and z prime. Okay, so I have finally achieved what I set out for. Okay, so I start from here and arrive here through 3 consecutive rotations, and these are the corresponding rotation matrices, which means my matrix A, which takes me from original configuration to the final configuration, is a product of these 3. And because this is the first transformation, I should put it to the right most, because that's the one which is multiplying my x, y, z. And then I have done by theta, and then I have done by psi. Okay, so this is what my transformation matrix A is. So it's straightforward to now determine what this matrix A is by just multiplying these 3 matrices. Okay, and I'll give you the answer for that, and you should multiply that to see whether you also get the right answer. Let me write it down. So my matrix A parameterized in Euler angles is the following. Okay, it takes a while to write this. Let me see. Yeah, I'll put the brackets later now. So the answer, if I have made no mistakes in deriving this, should be the following. Cos of psi times cos of phi minus cos of theta sine of theta sine of psi. it will be good if you can use Mathematica to do this multiplication. See, it's a trivial multiplication, right? And you can of course do by hand, but you can also, after you have done that, let's say you do it in Mathematica and verify your answer. Okay, so keep getting practice with Mathematica. Okay, that's good. That's the first entry. Then you have minus sine of psi cos of phi cos of theta sine of phi cos of psi. Okay, while I am writing these entries, what you can do is try to see whether these entries appear to be correct. Okay, so you may try to look at certain limits and see whether the entries make sense. For example, you could put theta, phi and psi to be 0, all of them, and try to see whether what I am writing gives you an identity matrix. So for example, while I am writing all this, you can check whether this becomes unity in the limits psi, phi and theta to be 0. Okay, so and correspondingly the other entries are 0 or not. Okay, so you may keep checking while I am writing this. Okay, where is it? Second term is, let me write the last term here. This should be sine of theta, sine of phi. Then here is cos of psi, sine of phi plus cos of theta, cos of phi, sine of psi. And then you have minus sine of psi, then sine of phi, plus cos of theta, cos of phi, cos of psi. Let me look at this one, whether I get a 1. There's a minus sign, so I'm curious. So if phi and psi are 0, this term is gone, so minus is not creating any trouble, that's 0. And these are all cos, which means they all are 1 in this limit, so it gives you 1 in this diagonal entry, so which looks good. Let's look at this one, sine psi, sine of theta, cos of psi, sine of theta. Let's check this one. Because theta is 0, will give you 0. It's good. This anyway you expect to be 0, this term and this term and this term and this term. They all should be 0. Let's write here minus sine of theta, cos of phi. And then the final entry is cos of theta, which will become 1 when theta is 0. So in that limit you will have all the entries to be 1 on the diagonal and all others 0. So which looks at least good from this check. And you should also try to see if you can come up with some other checks which you can do on this. Okay, so this practice should always be there of doing some small checks quickly here and there, so that you're sure that everything is good. Okay, that's nice. We have now a matrix for parameterizing different orientations of our rigid body with one point fixed. Remember, we had fixed one point. But if that point is not fixed, it's not a big deal, because you can just move that point around just by a translation. So that's not an issue. Now, you may try to think about what are the properties of this matrix. So as always, the moment we see a matrix, we want to ask about what its determinant is or what its trace is. These are the things which you should immediately pop up in our head. And you may also wonder whether this is an orthogonal matrix. After all, we have multiplied 3 orthogonal matrices. These matrices, theta, phi and psi, they are orthogonal, and you may wonder whether the product is orthogonal. Well, we expect them to be orthogonal because any 2 points, the distance between any 2 points in the rigid body is not going to change under this transformation. So it better be an orthogonal transformation. Okay, so even though it's expected, but nevertheless check that this matrix is orthogonal. And you can do so by doing an exercise. Instead of checking whether this is orthogonal directly, you can also check, if you wish, by checking whether phi, theta and psi, okay? Or better still, you check if phi, theta and psi are matrices which are orthogonal, then their product is also orthogonal. Okay, and then we would like to know about the determinant. Well, again, let's say you have shown that these are orthogonal, then there are two possibilities, +1 and -1 for the determinant. And you expect that the determinant to be +1, right? Because remember, it is the determinant +1 part which is connected to the identity in a continuous manner. So because you can build up your matrix A by doing infinitesimal transformations, you expect your determinant of A to be unity, but it will be nice if you can explicitly verify that. Okay, and again you can check explicitly by taking this whole matrix that the determinant is 1, and also you can show that if you have a product of 3 orthogonal matrices or any number with which are orthogonal and their determinants are 1, the product will also give you a determinant 1. Okay, so that is what you can check. I think this is probably all that I want to say in this video. We'll continue further in the next one. I will encourage you, however, to keep coming up with your own questions which you can turn into exercises for yourselves and solve it. And Mathematica, using Mathematica will be a very useful way of doing. So you don't keep multiplying like all these numbers here again and again. A computer can do it for you. But such proofs, these kind of questions, you can come up and do the algebra to see whether you are able to satisfy your expectations from these questions. Okay, so see you in the next video then.